I stood there in the dusty Montana wind, staring at the fresh dirt on Dad's grave, while Barbara and Haley read the will like I was just some ghost from the past. Barbara hauled my old duffel bag to the porch steps, her eyes cold as a winter creek. Haley wiped at her cheeks with those crocodile tears she'd perfected over the years. They figured the ranch, the sprawling acres of Carter land that had been in our family for generations, was theirs for the taking. But they didn't know about the deed tucked safe in my jacket pocket, the one that made it all mine. My name's Emily Carter, and at 35, I've built a life in Billings as a top real estate developer, turning barren lots into thriving communities. But looking back, it's a miracle I made it this far after the way they ground me down. I was 8 when Mom passed from that sudden aneurysm, leaving Dad shattered and me adrift in our big ranch house outside Bozeman. The place smelled of pine and hay back then, with wide-open skies that promised freedom. Dad buried his grief in the cattle business, hiring ranch hands to watch over me while he rode the range from dawn to dusk. Then Barbara showed up, all polished boots and fake Southern charm. She was from Texas originally, but she'd adapted quick to Montana life. Dad married her in under a year, and suddenly Haley, her daughter a year younger than me, was twirling around in frilly dresses like she owned the place. "We're gonna be one big, happy family." "Sugar," Barbara cooed, bending down to my eye level, her perfume like overripe lilacs choking the air. But happiness wasn't in the cards for me. It started subtle, like a slow-building storm. My horse-riding ribbons got shoved to the back of the trophy shelf, replaced by Haley's 4-H fair prizes. The bedroom with the view of the Gallatin River, where Mom used to tuck me in with stories of frontier women, became Haley's because she needs the space for her art supplies. They stuck me in the old bunkhouse out back, where the roof leaked during spring thaws and the walls creaked with every gust. Family photos morphed too. First I faded to the corners, then vanished altogether. By 13, you'd think John Carter had only one daughter. "Emily's just being moody," Barbara would tell the neighbors at church potlucks when they asked why I wasn't in the holiday cards. "You know kids these days." Moody? I was erased. Dinners were the worst. Conversations swirling past me like tumbleweeds in a gale. When Haley aced her spelling bee, there was apple pie and cheers. My straight A's and science fair wins? Barba'd sniff and say, "Book smarts are fine, but without grace and looks, you'll end up alone on some dusty trail." Dad lived in his haze, coming in late from the fields, kissing Barbara's cheek, tousling Haley's hair. When his eyes met mine, guilt flickered like a faulty lantern before he hid behind the Bozeman Chronicle. I learned to fend for myself, packing lunches from the pantry, washing my own jeans, forging Dad's signature on school forms. For extra cash, I started helping neighbors with bookkeeping during calving season. College dreams? I kept those locked tight, applying for scholarships in secret at the library. The acceptance from Montana State came on a crisp fall day, full ride for business, covering everything. I hid in the barn to let the tears flow, hay scratching my face as I muffled the sobs. It was my escape rope. I got into college, I announced at supper, voice steady despite the knot in my gut. Haley rolled her eyes. "Probably some online thing." Montana State. Full scholarship. Silence dropped like a heavy snow. Barbara's knife scraped her plate. Dad looked up. Really looked. "That's great,
Eminência."
but Barbara cut in smooth as butter. "Don't count your chickens,
John.
These offers fall through." And Emily. "Honey, not everyone's cut out for that life. Some folks are meant for simpler paths." 2 weeks post-high school, I came back from my waitressing shift at the diner to find my stuff piled on the gravel drive. Barbara blocked the door, Haley smirking behind her. "You're 18 now," Barbara said, checking her nails. "Time to spread your wings. That's what independent girls do, right?" Dad's truck was parked out front, but he stayed inside. I loaded up my rusty pickup and drove off, glancing back to see Haley eyeing the bunkhouse like it was prime real estate. No tears from me. I'd cried them out long ago. Instead, I clenched the wheel and vowed to craft a life so solid their rejection would shrink to nothing. Little did I know, that ranch would call me back one day.
Date in hand.
15 years vanished in a blur. I'd climbed from sleeping in my truck to running a development firm in Billings, turning old ranches into sustainable communities. My condo overlooked the Yellowstone River. My SUV was top of the line, and my savings could buy half the county. I never returned, not for rodeos, not for holidays, not even when Haley's short-lived marriage splashed across Facebook. Walls around my heart were fortress high, blocking out the pain. Then came that fateful Wednesday. "MS. Carter," my assistant buzzed. "A man's here, says he's your father."
No appointment.
My hands froze on the keyboard, the property report blurring. "Send him in." The man who entered was a shadow, hair thinned to white wisps, frame gaunt under his flannel shirt, once broad shoulders slumped. But those blue eyes, mirrors of mine, held the old mix of regret and faded affection. "Emily," he rasped, like it hurt to say. "John." I couldn't call him Dad. He winced but sat, hands knotted on his lap. "You've made something of yourself. No help from you. I deserve that." He scanned my office, the plaques, degrees, group photos from site visits. No family shots. Worse, even. "What do you want?" Silence stretched. Then softly, "Lung cancer. Stage 4. From all those years smoking on the range." The words landed heavy, but I kept composed. This was just another deal. "I'm sorry. Docs say 3 months. Maybe 5. He chuckled brittle. "If I'm lucky. Why tell me? I need your help." Not for me, for Barbara and Haley. The family that discarded me. Inside, anger simmered, but curiosity held it back. "You're the sharp one."
Eminencia.
"Always were." "I failed you. Let Barbara run the show, to keep peace." Coward move. "And now, forgiveness on your deathbed."
No.
"Hire you." I nearly laughed. "Hire me." The ranch. Mortgaged it bad, drought loans. Haley's failed business ventures. Credit debt. Banks circling for foreclosure. If I go, they're homeless. Their problem. This land's been Carter's for 80 years. Grandpa homesteaded it after the war. You were born here. Your mom and I carried you from the hospital to that front porch. Memories flooded. The creak of the barn door. Mom's laughter in the kitchen. Climbing the old cottonwood to hide from storms. "What are you asking?" "Buy it. You've got the means." "I'll sell for what I owe, way under value." "Let them stay till they steady up after I'm gone. By the place they booted me from. So they could squat?" Rage clawed inside. Why save them? But the land whispered. That soil where Mom's ashes scattered. The fences I mended as a kid. "I'll think on it." Relief softened his face. "That's enough. Here's my lawyer's card." As he left, I crumpled in my chair, tears breaking free, not for him, but for the child I was. Believing family meant protection. Why did this tug so hard? Was it pity? Or something deeper, like reclaiming what was stolen? 3 days later, I dialed the lawyer. The closing went smooth as a well-oiled gate, in a Bozeman office smelling of coffee and old files. The attorney, a fidgety guy named Harlan. Eyed us like we were rustling cattle. Price, $450,000. Spot on what Dad owed. A steal for 500 acres with river frontage. I wired the funds. Unorthodox, Harlan muttered. Your father wants the occupants to remain. Understood. I signed with my executive pen, the one for my first big deal. Verbal agreement, they stay.
No lease.
Just kin helping kin. Dad's hand trembled on the deed. Thank you, he whispered. Not for you. I know. Sunday supper's at 6, you're welcome. I nodded vague. But something stirred inside. Was this revenge or redemption? The deed felt heavy in my hands. A key to unlocked pain. That Sunday, I idled my SUV outside the ranch gate for half an hour. The cottonwood leaves rustling like old secrets. The house stood proud against the Rockies. Porch swaying gentle. I knocked on my own door. Haley answered, eyes narrowing. At 34. She was Barbara's spit image, blonde waves. Sharp features. Mouth twisted in disdain. You. Haley. She stepped back grudging. The foyer smelled of pot roast and Barbara's rose scent. But the walls held new photos, none with me. Dining room, she muttered. No code offer. They sat at the oak table Grandpa carved. Dad at the head. Barbara, right. Empty chair left Mom's spot. Barbara looked timeless. Eyes appraising like valuing livestock. Emily, she drawled, making it sound like a burden. John mentioned you might drop by. I invited her, Dad said firm. A spark I hadn't heard in years. Barbara's lips thinned. Supper was beef stew. Same recipe for decades.
Silencer hung tik.
Broken by Haley griping about her latest gig at the feed store. Boss expects miracles for minimum wage. Barbara shot barbs my way. That suits so corporate. Emily, men out here prefer something softer. I ate off Grandma's plates in my own house, saying nothing. But inside, turmoil churned. Why sit here, enduring this? For Dad? Or to watch their facade crack? After. While Barbara cleared and Haley scrolled her phone. Dad beckoned me to his den. Got something. The room held leather and gun oil. Shelves of ranch logs. On his desk, a photo of my college graduation. Me beaming in cap and gown. Unaware of the camera.
How? Hired a PI.
Couldn't miss it. Even uninvited. He pulled a scrapbook, clippings of my deals, awards, even a Billings Gazette feature. Valedictorian.
Summa cum laude.
I know. He shut it soft. About the ranch, Harlan didn't say, but I figured. No one buys land like that without plans. Business decision.
No.
It's you, strong despite us. From the kitchen, Haley whined. Barbara soothed, their eternal waltz. I should head out. Next week. The plea in his eyes twisted me. I nodded. Driving home, I replayed it. I'd treated it like reconnaissance. Gathering ammo. They lounged on my land, treating me like dirt. Patience. I told myself the truth would hit like a blizzard. But doubt crept. Was holding this power justice? Or just echoing their cruelty? By the fourth Sunday, the neglect hit me like a branding iron. A sour whiff, medicine mixed with neglect, trailed upstairs post-meal while Barbara and Haley vegged to TV westerns.
Dashed or IR.
I knocked. Enter. The master suite. Once warm with quilts and views of the pasture. Resembled a run-down clinic. Pill bottles teetered on a nightstand. Floors stained. Dad in rumpled clothes amid dingy sheets. When were these last washed? He shrugged weak. Barbara swamped with soaps. Don't start. Gentle, but weary. I flung open curtains. Light revealed dust and despair. He squinted. Next doc visit? Thursday. Who's driving? Quiet. Meds. More quiet. I grabbed a bottle, full. Dated weeks back. Pain pills. Why skip? Barbara says no need for doping, natural remedies. She's not the one coughing blood. The words sliced deep. He shut eyes. I inventoried the mess. Bathroom filthy. Clothes sparse. Fridge bare, but for stale milk. Rage boiled. How could they let him rot? But pity surged too. For the man who'd failed me, yet now begged silently. I'll handle this. That week, I juggled work calls with drives to the ranch, stocking supplies, scheduling rides, managing pills. Barbara huffed. Interfering much? Haley sneered. Playing hero now? But Dad's eyes lit grateful.
Inside.
Conflict raged. Was I here for him? Or to expose them? Each visit peeled layers. Guilt for abandoning him years ago. Anger at his weakness. A budding forgiveness that scared me. Why care after all this? Maybe because blood runs deep as river roots. And ignoring it only damns the soul. Months blurred. Dad weakened. Tumors spreading like weeds. I became his anchor. Doctor runs in my SUV. Cooking simple meals. Reading ranch histories aloud as he faded. Barbara and Haley? They vanished more shopping in town. Haley chasing dead-end schemes. Where were you? I'd think. Watching Dad sleep. Pain etching his face. One night, alone in the den, I pored over old ledgers, Grandpa's dreams for this land. Tears came. Why hadn't Dad fought for me like this? But deeper. A whisper. Maybe he was fighting now. In his way. The emotional weight crushed heavier each day, forcing me to confront the girl I'd buried, the one craving family, not vengeance. One stormy evening, Dad gripped my hand.
Ink.
The ranch, it's yours now. But think on them. Life's short for grudges. His words haunted. Was my plan too harsh? As his breath shallowed, I wrestled inner storms. Revenge felt hollow against his plea for mercy. When he slipped away at dawn, peace on his face, grief hit like a stampede.
Iset Vittil.
Alone, while Barbara and Haley arrived late, theatrical in mourning. Inside, sorrow mixed with resolve. The ending had to change. For my sake, as much as theirs. The funeral loomed under clear Montana skies. The kind that mock your grief with their vast indifference. Barbara orchestrated it like a cattle auction, fancy casket from the Bozeman mortuary, heaps of wildflowers, an obituary in the local paper touting her as the devoted wife. Finances are tight, she'd cite a callers, hinting at the inheritance windfall. But once the estate settles, I handled the quiet parts, notifying old ranch hands, Dad's poker buddies from the VFW, neighbors who'd known the Carters pre-Barbara, people she'd sidelined, but who deserved farewell. Inside, waves crashed, loss for the father I'd reclaimed too late, fury at the years stolen, a gnawing urge to scream the truth. But Dad's last words echoed, life's short for grudges. Could I soften the blow? At the service, Barbara held court graveside, dabbing eyes with a lace hanky. Haley posed dramatic, snapping discreet photos. For the memory board, she whispered when I glared. I gave the eulogy, voice cracking despite resolve. Barbara had claimed it but backed out. Too heartbroken. I spoke of the dad from before, the one teaching me to rope calves, sharing stars on summer nights.
Loving mom officially till fate intervened.
I skipped the betrayals, the silence that deafened our bond. The dead earn grace, even if the living don't. But inside, turmoil peaked, eulogizing a man whose weakness scarred me, while his tormentors wept pretty. Why this pull toward mercy? Perhaps because hate's chains bind the hater most. Post-burial. Back at the ranch, Barbara and Haley mingled like socialites at a barn dance. Snippets floated. Planning to subdivide some acres, Haley boasted. Europe trip finally, Barbara murmured. Spending phantom riches while Dad's earth was raw. My chest tightened. How dare they? Yet Dad's plea nagged. Stirring empathy, I fought. The will reading hit Monday. At the house per Barbara's insistence. She arranged seats like a courtroom. Her and Haley center. Some distant cousin behind. I perched side. Harlan the lawyer sweating as he unpacked papers. Last will of John Thomas Carter. Dated April 2022. Barbara leaned eager. To my wife. Barbara Lynn Carter. Retirement funds. Insurance. Personal items including vehicles and jewelry. She nodded smug. To my daughter Haley Rose Carter. Investments and safe deposit contents. Haley grinned, calculating. To my daughter Emily Grace Carter. Book collection and grandpa's pocket watch. Silence waited. The ranch? Barbara snapped. Not in the will.
Impossible.
Harlan adjusted glasses. The property isn't estate assets. What? Haley's voice pitched. Sold last year. Shock rippled. I felt their stares burn. To whom? Harlan glanced my way. MS. Emily Carter owns it. Barbara's face cycled colors, pale to crimson. Fraud. He was coerced. Sale predated diagnosis, legal as daylight. You knew, Barbara hissed at me. All this time. Yes. Haley stood trembling. You let us believe. I let you reveal yourselves. Out, Barbara growled. Your house? I rose calm. Pulling documents. This is mine. But inside. Conflict raged fiercer. Eviction felt right. Yet Dad's words burned. You have a month to relocate. I'll help with first month's rent on a place in town. They gaped.
Why?
Haley spat. Pity.
No.
Because holding grudges poisons the holder.
Dad taught me that.
Too late. Harlan packed hasty. Escaping the tension. I left amid their stunned silence. Heart pounding, not with triumph, but raw exposure. Had I softened too much? Or was this the humanity I'd lost? Calls flooded that night. Barbara pleading. We're blood. Emily. Guilt-tripping. Your dad would roll in his grave. Threats. We'll sue for undue influence. Bargaining. 3 months. When stonewalled. Venom spewed in voicemails. Haley sobbed. Homeless because of you. Then rage texts. Cruel witch. Even the cousin chimed, mumbling support for them. I changed numbers day 4. But echoes haunted. Their pain mirrored mine at 18. Was this justice? Or a cycle I perpetuated? The ranch emptied gradual. I drove by evenings, seeing boxes stack. They took what they could, furniture, tools, but left spite marks, scratched walls, ripped curtains.
Day 8.
Barbara appeared at my office. Dressed down. Eyes read genuine. 5 minutes. I gave 4.
I'm 58.
No skills beyond homemaking. You're dooming us. Work builds character. Start at the co-op or diner. Haley's depressed. Can't cope. Then she should have valued family. Where's your heart? Buried with the years you stole. Real tears fell. I gave him good years. You took his best and mine. She left broken. Pity stabbed deep. Why did their fall hurt me? Because beneath armor, I craved healing, not wreckage. Day 20 brought chaos. A yard sale on the lawn. Grandma's quilts. Dad's books, mine by will. Even fence tools. Not yours, I told Haley, mid-haggle over Mom's saddle. Finders keepers. Law says otherwise. Police cleared it. I refunded buyers. Inventoried losses, $4,000 in heirlooms. Fury peaked. But so did sorrow. Their desperation echoed my past self. Month's end. I arrived with Harlan and a mover. House stripped, fixtures gone, pipes exposed. But in the den, photo albums stacked Mom and me, ranch history. Note, worthless junk. I sank to the floor, sobs racking. They'd meant insult, but gifted treasures. Laughter mixed tears, sentiment's value outshone gold. Locks changed, damage noted. I wandered empty rooms, echoes amplifying inner storm. Freedom tasted bittersweet, victory hollow without grace. That night, on a cot amid albums, grief poured for lost years, Dad's regrets. My hardened heart. The cottonwood whispered outside, guardian eternal. Silence from them felt like closure. But questions swirled. Had I honored Dad by softening? Or betrayed the hurt child? Emotions swelled, demanding release. Perhaps the lesson was forgiveness frees. Revenge imprisons. 6 weeks post-eviction. The ranch began healing under my hands. I hired local crews to fix the sabotage. New wiring, fresh paint in soft earth tones echoing Montana's landscapes. The kitchen got granite counters, but I kept Grandma's wood stove for that homey warmth. Weekends, I mended fences myself, muscles aching as memory surfaced, Dad showing me knots, Mom planting the herb garden, now overgrown.
Inside.
The pull intensified. Rebuilding wasn't just physical, it chipped at my walls. Why this urge to restore? Because the land held my roots, and uprooting others had unearthed my own buried pain. Friends from Billings visited, filling rooms with laughter. But alone at night, doubts flooded. Had my partial mercy been enough?
Or too little?
Then the doorbell chimed one crisp afternoon. Through the camera, there they stood, Barbara and Haley, transformed by hardship. Barbara's hair showed silver streaks, clothes simple Wranglers, and a faded blouse. Haley wore a grocery clerk apron, posture slumped, no trace of former gloss. I opened the door. Screen latched. Emily, Barbara's voice cracked hoarse. Can we talk? Outside. They eyed the revived porch. Blooming wildflowers. House gleaming like new. Haley shifted. We're sorry. Silence for me. But inside, a torrent, vindication mixed with unexpected compassion. I'm at the supermarket, Haley continued, words tumbling. Mom's cleaning houses. No fancy life anymore. The apartment's a shoebox, leaky roof. Noisy neighbors. Why here? Barbara straightened slight, echo of old pride. We were wrong, cruel.
Blind.
Pushed you out thinking it made us stronger. Tears well genuine. Seeing you care for John. It shamed us. Haley nodded.
Eyes down.
I envied you your smarts.
Drive.
Made me nasty. The admissions hit deep.
Steering ang pati ide niya.
Their brokenness mirrored my 18-year-old self. Scared and alone. But rage lingered. Why now? After the fall? Apologies don't erase scars. We know, Barbara whispered. But we're trying, working.
Saving. Just.
Maybe guidance.
Inside.
Conflict peaked. Reject them and preserve my peace. Or extend a hand and risk reopening wounds. Dad's words resounded, grudges poison. Perhaps the lesson was in bridging, not burning. Come in, but this is probation. They entered hesitant. eyes wide at transformations. We sat in the den. Albums open between us. These, I said. You left as trash.
But they're gold to me.
Barbara touched a photo of Mom. I was jealous of her memory. Your bond with John. Vulnerability cracked her facade. Haley confessed. I followed Mom's lead, thought belittling you elevated me. Tears flowed from all. Mine surprised me most. Why weep now? Because holding pain solo had exhausted me. Sharing lightened it. I bought the ranch to save it, not destroy you. But you needed the wake-up. They nodded. Stories spilling, lost friends, humbled egos, first tastes of independence. Works hard, Haley admitted. But it's mine. We talked hours, raw.
Honest.
I shared my struggles, nights in my truck, clawing up in business, loneliness masking as strength. You taught me resilience the hard way. Barbara sobbed. I failed as a mother to both. Emotions swelled overwhelming. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting, but releasing the hold. Stay for supper, I offered. Simple stew, like old times, but dialogue flowed tentative, plans for their future, my visions for the ranch. No illusions of instant family, but a crack in the ice. As they left, Barbara hugged awkward. Thank you for the chance. Haley added, we'll earn it. Alone. Relief washed title. Extending grace hadn't weakened me. It empowered. The ranch felt fuller. Potential blooming. But deeper. The emotional release hit profound. Letting go healed wounds revenge never could. Next week's contact grew cautious. I helped Haley with resume tips. Barbara with job leads. They visited Sundays, helping with chores, mending fences literal and figurative. Haley enrolled in community college. Barbara started a cleaning business. Watching them grow stirred pride unexpected. Why this shift? Because humanity thrives in connection, not isolation. My inner battles quieted, replaced by tentative hope. One evening, under starlit skies, I sat on the porch swing, pocket watch ticking, Grandpa's legacy. The land hummed peaceful, no longer haunted. Text came, Haley's got an A, thanks for the push. Barbara's business picking up. Smiles came unbidden. The lesson crystallized light yet profound. Family isn't blood alone, but choices to uplift. I'd reclaimed the ranch, but more, reclaimed my heart. Emotions, once stormy, now flowed gentle as the river, deeper, richer, alive with possibility. Months later, the ranch hosted its first gathering, neighbors, old hands, my work crew. Laughter echoed. Barbara and Haley attended, contributing pies. Proud of what you've built, a neighbor said. But inside, pride swelled for the mended bonds.
No feritale, tensions lingered.
Trust rebuilt slow. Yet the change was real, from adversaries to allies, bound by shared lessons. As guests left, Barbara lingered. You saved us by not saving us easy. We saved each other. Tears mingled with hugs. The emotional depth left me breathless. A catharsis long overdue. A year on, the ranch thrived like never before, cattle grazing lush pastures. A new guest cabin for ecotourists bringing steady income. I'd expanded my firm remotely, balancing boardrooms with barn work. But the true transformation was us. Barbara managed her cleaning service successfully. Pride in her eyes at family dinners. Haley graduated trade school. Apprenticing as a vet tech, her envy turned to admiration. Sundays evolved into genuine gatherings, shared meals, stories of past and future, laughter edging out old shadows.
Inside.
Emotions deepened layers. joy intertwined with lingering aches. But the balance felt right. Why had Mercy won? Because it honored Dad's final wish, turning pain into purpose. One spring day, as wildflowers bloomed riotous, they arrived unannounced. Picnic? Haley suggested, basket in hand. We spread blankets by the river, the spot where Mom taught me to skip stones. Conversation flowed easy. Barbara shared startup struggles. Haley, her first solo animal rescue. I opened up more, admitting the isolation of success. How their return filled voids. I almost evicted you forever, I confessed. Glad you didn't, Barbara said soft. We needed the rock bottom to climb. Tears came collective. Cleansing. The depth hit visceral. Forgiveness wasn't weakness, but strength to rewrite narratives. Laughter followed. Chasing sorrow. Haley mimicking her old spoiled self. Us howling. As sun dipped behind peaks, a quiet settled. Family's what we make, I mused. They nodded. The lesson landed light. Kindness ripples, healing all shores. No perfect resolution. Occasional barbs surfaced. Old habits died hard. But progress shone. Haley helped with calving season. Barbara tended the garden Mom loved. My heart, once armored, beat open, vulnerable yet vibrant. Emotions crested higher. Gratitude for second chances. Sorrow for lost time transmuted to wisdom. The ranch stood testament, not just land, but legacy of resilience and redemption. Summer brought a milestone. Haley's engagement to a kind rancher. Wedding planned on the property. If you'll allow, she asked shy. Our home, yours too. Preparations bonded us. Barbara sewing decorations. Me handling logistics. The day dawned golden. Vows under the cottonwoods stirred memories. Dad's absence poignant, but his spirit present in our unity. Toasts flowed to new beginnings. Lessons learned.
Inside.
Overwhelm peaked. Love's complexity. Pain's purpose. Life's fragile beauty. As they danced, I stepped aside, watching, the invisible girl no longer, but architect of her fate. That night, alone on the porch, stars infinite overhead, peace enveloped profound. The journey from banishment to ownership, vengeance to grace, had forged me anew. Barbara texted, thank you for everything. Haley, love you. Cease. Tears fell free. Emotional release cathartic. The light lesson endured. Hold grudges, and you forfeit freedom. Extend hands, and worlds expand. I'd reclaimed the ranch, but gained family truer, built on truth, not illusion. Years blurred forward. The ranch a hub of life. Grandkids someday. Community events. Barbara retired content. Haley thrived. Our bond deepened. Scars fading to stories. In quiet moments, I'd touch the deed, symbol of justice served humane. Emotions, once turbulent, now a steady river, deep, enduring, life-affirming. The western winds whispered approval. I'd honored the land. The legacy, myself. Home wasn't just place, but people choosing better. And in that choice, I found wholeness.